After what feels like making so many gnomes, so very many gnomes, I have all this leftover yarn, so I decided I would teach myself how to crochet. I wasn't going to film initially just because I didn't know how I would take to it. I didn't know if it was a hobby that I would keep going with, but it seems to be going really well. So I've been posting little snippets of my journey on my Insta stories, and I'm just making like a little time every night to kind of figure out how to do it. The first time I gave it a try, it was a little difficult. I did almost give up hope because it turned out so weird. Like I kept making these little bendy rainbow shapes. I think that was because I was starting off with too much tension and then loosening up as I went along in rows. But then I really lucked out because I found this amazing tutorial. I'll be sure to leave a link to that in the description below. And that was really instrumental in teaching me how to do all these stitches. So what I did was, instead of diving straight into a project, I followed this one really long tutorial. I spent the entire night just doing that and kind of learning each of the basic stitches. And after I did that, I felt more confident to jump in and actually make something. So the second night after I did the complete tutorial, I ventured into making some granny squares because I just think they are so adorable. This was the first one that I made. I was crazy proud when I first finished it. I was like, it looks legit. Like, I don't know why it's so warbly up here. I mean, I figured it out the second night, but on that first try, I was like, oh, I guess that's just the look of it, and I guess that's what it looks like. So I just kind of went with it. And the second night, when I made my second granny square of the same template, it turned out so much better. And I'm following this other tutorial, so I'll be sure to leave a link to that as well. I guess I must have been really tired when I was finishing this off, because this fifth row of the granny square, this fifth margin, instead of doing a double cluster at every corner and then single clusters in between, I did double clusters in every single one, which is why it's so like warbly and thick all along the edge. I'm not gonna do it again because I can't be bothered, but this is what it's supposed to look like. So this is from my third attempt. I really think this is a very calming and easy hobby to pick up if it was something that you were interested in. It didn't take me very long to figure out how to do it, so it's definitely something doable and that you can learn to do as well. The reason why I'm making all these granny squares is because we will be spending the holidays in Seoul, where it's going to be, I think, -3 degrees, maybe even colder while we're there. So I'm a little freaked out about it, and I wanted to make myself a balaclava, this really cute one that I kept seeing on Pinterest. And I had all the extra yarn, so I figured, why not? These are my rejected gnome ornaments, by the way, from last week's gnome extravaganza. These are the ones that didn't quite make the cut. I really hope I have enough yarn for the thing that I'm making, which requires 8 granny squares. Out of everything that I've ever tried to learn or make, I find that crocheting is, I guess it's because I'm still learning it. It's very mindful. Like, I really have to pay attention to everything that I'm doing. Otherwise, I will lose track of how many stitches I've done or what stitch should go where, which is what happened here. I just started mindlessly crocheting, and that's why I ended up with all these little rainbows when it should be nice and square like this. Also, I don't know if this is because of the type of yarn that I got, but one of the main difficulties I've been having is sometimes the yarn will unravel itself. Not really unravel, but it'll sort of untwist itself, and all of its individual strands become more prominent. So when I'm grabbing it with the crochet hook, it makes it really hard to just grab the entire thing without, like, sometimes leaving 1 or 2 pieces behind. So that's been really irritating. If you've been crocheting for a while, please let me know if this is because of the yarn that I've purchased or if this is like a technique thing that I've been doing wrong. See, this is exactly what I mean. So the yarn tends to unravel like this, and then you end up with like just the one thread that the hook wasn't able to catch. So I end up having to like slowly stopping, and then I have to keep maneuvering it to make sure that I've grabbed all the strands before I move on. That's the only thing that's quite frustrating. One hour later and I have 3 rows done. It's a little wonky in some parts. I need to retrain my fingers and my brain to like keep the tension the same. You can see how this side it's a little looser because there's less tension here, but then I went really tight in this corner. I do like this look better because I like how sharp the corner looks. I'm noticing right now how much bigger this one is in the middle compared to this one. I don't really know how that happened. Every one of these is going to be slightly different as I figure out how to make it. Check it out, a package just arrived for me. I ordered this new metal brush cleaner. So what I use when I paint has been these old, they used to store tea leaves, and then once they ran out, I've been using them to store my water when I paint. As you can see, it gets super gross. And the annoying thing about it is it doesn't store a lot of water, for one thing. And when you're cleaning your brushes, since the water gets murky so quickly, it actually like contaminates the paint a lot faster. So I saw this from another art YouTuber, and I was influenced to buy it. It has this lid that seals, so when you're not using, or like you're in the middle of painting and you want to take a break, you can seal it and you don't have to be worried about your water tipping over, which is something I constantly worry about. I think it also helps that it has like a really wide base because it prevents it from being knocked over as easily. I don't know. And then lots of space for water, but it has this extra thing with holes on top that you can use to clean brushes. So you can like scrub the brush bristles a little bit here and then clean it off. Also has this lip up here so you can sort of squeegee the water off of your brush before you start painting again, which is super useful. One thing that really intrigued me was this second layer isn't as deep as the actual well. The water stays cleaner longer, so you don't have to refill as often. If you're interested in this, I'll leave a link down below because people are always asking me whenever I show anything on this channel where I got it. So I'll be sure to leave a link to that. Here's a little progress report. I've finished 3 squares. 4 squares actually, including the one that I sort of messed up. I'm still gonna use it. I'll probably use this for the top of my head where you won't really see it. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, this is called blocking. So sometimes my granny square can be a little wonky, and to get it perfectly square, I just pin it to one of these, like, you know those kiddie floor mats that they use for play areas? So I just grabbed one, and then I'm using the back of it to hold everything in place so it's perfectly square. So as you can see, I really see the progress. This is the first one that I made that I was already crazy proud of. And then I made this one, which I was like, oh, I've perfected the method. Then the next day I made these 2, and then you can see how in this one, the flower in the middle stands out more. It's definitely way more defined than in the first one that I made. So apparently there's always room for improvement. So I need 4 squares of this pattern, and then I need 4 squares of the inverse, and then I can put it together. So I'm gonna work on that right now.
It's got a bit biggest. And this time I'll try to make templates of most of the castle parts and put up for download for our patrons. Campers, you know? Where do we begin? I should be this way.
is just not my day. I actually redid this inner red circle like 3 times because it was so lopsided, and then I finally got it to the correct tension. And I finished the second row only to find that somehow I cut the wrong piece, and now my first row is completely ruined. So I have to start over yet again. I don't know what's going on with me today. I am clearly feeling this color palette. Do you like it? Maybe I should make you something. Maybe we can crochet you a little outfit. I took my first row, the broken one, and I turned it into a little hair tie for Bachi. And it's so cute. Okay, I'm being really annoying. Anyway, I fixed it. I'm glad I had to redo it because I did miss a step the first time I did it. So this is much cleaner. It looks a lot better. Yep, okay. Progress is slow today. Here's everything I have so far. Like I mentioned, I need 8 squares in total. I have managed to finish 7 squares in the span of 3 days. 4 squares in one colorway and then another 4 squares in the contrasting colorway. Initially, I wasn't sure how I felt about this one. Like when I finished making the red on the inside, white on the outside, just holding it in my hand, I didn't really like the combination or how it looked. But then putting it side by side with this one, I really think it really makes the pattern pop, and it just makes the whole thing more interesting. So I'm really glad that I followed instructions and did it that way. So today I have 1 square to go, and then I can assemble the whole thing and actually finish the hat. The only problem is what I've been doing is I've been making this anytime I have the chance to do it. So I'll do it at night while I'm watching TV before I go to bed. I'll do it while I'm commuting to and from work or going to different places. And yesterday, my wrist started hurting like crazy, and I am very, very familiar with this pain because I have suffered from a repetitive strain injury on my wrist before. When I first started doing this, I felt that pain for the very first time on my left wrist, which really freaked me out because that has never happened before. It's always been on my right side. So I've been very mindful about not moving this hand too much, and that pain has not come back. Unfortunately, I guess I'm just so used to, can you hear that? I'm able to push my right hand far more than my left hand, and yesterday it really, really started to hurt. So I am a little anxious about finishing this. I'm a little anxious about making the last square. Part of me wants to just call it quits right now and save my wrist, but a bigger part of me, the perfectionist part that needs to see these projects finished, is telling me to push through and just do it very, very slowly and very, very carefully, take several breaks just to finish this before I go to Seoul for Christmas and I can actually wear this balaclava. I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. I don't know if I'm going to be spending the rest of my Christmas holiday with a splint on my hand because I pushed myself once again. So what I've been doing is I've been icing my wrist during my breaks so that I'm just hoping to mitigate the pain a little bit. I have 1 more left to go. Nothing would satisfy me more than actually finishing this yarn. The white, I think I'll definitely be more or less done with by the time I finish this last square, and then I'll use the red to bind all the squares together, and hopefully my hands will survive this little project. Okay, last one. Here we go. Crochet, I've found, is not the easiest of crafts to film, mostly because while I'm working on it, my hands are constantly moving, which makes it really hard to position the camera in the right way. But also at the same time, my hands are constantly covering the work that I'm doing to keep the tension right on the yarn and to keep the project in place. So not the best. But what I've been told from doing a few workshops here and there is that even if you can't quite see completely what I'm doing, people find it very satisfying just to watch somebody work. So I hope this video is satisfying for you to watch. So at the moment, it's a lot of this. It's a lot of finishing one row, setting aside the project, grabbing my ice pack, and resting my wrist for about 30 minutes before I move on to the next row, which, let me tell you, has been nothing if not frustrating because I just really want to get it done, and I kind of have a lot to finish before we leave for our holiday. So not the best, but you gotta do what you need to do to stay healthy. I gotta say, it is not going well. I have been working on this the entire day, just trying to finish this one square, and I'm on the second to the last row. I screwed up this third row here, as you can see. So the way the pattern works is every middle section gets one cluster, every corner gets a double cluster, so you have 6 over here, 6 stitches. And then in this one, I have no idea what in the world happened. I guess I just kind of spaced out. I did 3, I started the second cluster for this corner and then just stopped. It's taking me a really long time because every time I start to cross stitch, my hand begins to tingle, which I know is a sign of the pain that's coming, so I have to keep stopping. It's really frustrating because I know I could finish this. Like, I can finish this in 30 minutes and I just can't do that because it just keeps it just keeps triggering the pain in my hand. I'm so frustrated. I did it! I did it! I'm done with my very last granny square. Oh my goodness. I really pushed past the pain to finish it. I know I said I wouldn't do it, but I did because I wanted to get it done. This is all the white yarn I have left over, almost finished all of it. The rest of the red yarn, which I will be using to bind all of this together. And when that's done, we can have our reveal! Good news, bad news. The good news is I am literally 1 stitch away from completing my little balaclava. The bad news is, looking at it, I feel like it might be too small for my head. But you know what? We've come this far, so I might as well finish it. So after I bind this last stitch together, there's one last step, which is binding it. I don't really know what that's for, but I'm just gonna follow instructions because I'm sure it's important somehow. So I started making the border, and I really did not like how it looked. It felt too skinny, the yarn. All throughout this tutorial, the girl that I'm following has been saying I'm using 2 strands of yarn to make it bulkier and warmer, which I didn't do because I didn't know how to do that. And looking at the border, because I was only using 1 strand, it was very thin, so it didn't look as, it's just not as finished looking. Like, it looks, I don't know, it just looks undone, or it just looks messier. So since I'm like at the end of this skein of yarn anyway, I decided to make life difficult for myself by completely unraveling this entire ball of yarn, finding the other end, which I seem to have lost, and creating 2 strands so I can make my border with 2 strands. Where the heck is the other half? I had it just a second ago. All right, I have my 2 strands of yarn. I'm going to attempt to use both at the same time. I have no idea how this is gonna work. I just feel like it would look so much nicer if it was like a chunky border. Do you see how the border looks so much thicker? I really hope this is translating on camera. I'm also going to attempt to hide this in here, which is why I want it nice and thick, so these strands that I'm hiding will actually be hidden. Look at that. I know you have no basis of comparison because I don't think I filmed what the anemic looking border looked like, but trust me when I say this looks so much better. Ah, she is looking cute. She is looking chunky. I wish I did this sooner. I wish I did this for the entire thing because I feel like it would be a lot warmer if it was a lot thicker. I finished doing the border around the face, which I'm really happy that I actually did because it took away a little bit of the squareness and made it more round. There was one point when I finished putting together all the squares that I felt like I looked like a Minecraft character, so I'm really glad I added that. It just gave it a little bit more softness. I'm working on the border for the entire like neck hole area, and I'm starting to get a little worried because I have about a square and a half left, and literally this is all the yarn I have left. So I really hope that this is enough for just this square and a half. I think I will finish the rest of this off camera unless something goes wrong, knock on wood. I can leave a little bit of a surprise for you for when I'm done. Looks like I spoke too soon. I literally ran out. I need about this much left and I ran out of white yarn. Oh, what am I gonna do? I think I'm just gonna finish it. This little like 2-inch bit of collar over here will just not have a border, and that can be our little secret. So let's see what this looks like on.
Drive alone in December rain, they play my favorite song. I see a snowflake melt on the deck. I'm awful cold and longing for the holiday, counting days until you're here. I've been waiting this whole year. Dear Christmas, Christmas, Christmas night, I know you may suffer light, but together we're alright. You know we're ready for Christmas.
Should I film this whole outro wearing this thing? Alright, so this is my final project for 2023. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. This is going to be my last video of the year as well. I hope that you followed your curiosities just like I did throughout this year. I hope you picked up a couple of new skills, and I hope that you had a great year and you're ready for 2024. I'll see you guys after the new year. Bye!
I pick all the presents up for you, decorate the fireplace for two. I keep waiting all night, wish upon a star.